Hey, this is Kyle Aber, the voice of Ryu in Street Fighter, and you are listening to Dragon Wagon Radio. Hadouken!
Want awesome tabletop games delivered right to your door? Sign up now for Gamebox Monthly. Learn more at GameboxMonthly.com.
It's it. We're doing it. We're here. Thank you so much for tuning back in for another episode of Elaborate. As always, I'm your host, Jake Lloyd. Extremely excited to sit down with my guest today. It's been a while since I've seen him. Looking forward to catching up, to digging deep. He is a comedian, an actor, a writer, a filmmaker, one half of the Gentleman Scumbags podcast, and his brand new CD, The Hungry Wolf Hunts Best, can be bought on a Special Thing Records right now. It's Mike Bridenstine. How's it going, Mike?
Good. I like that music.
You like that?
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not gonna take credit if I wrote it and performed it. Whatever. It's not about me. It's all about me. It's always about me.
You're so talented.
Well, thank you. Welcome to the Jake is Talented podcast. Mike, it's been a while. I haven't seen you in a bit.
Yeah, I'm excited to be. You have a new apartment.
I have a new apartment, the Dragon's Den.
This is the Dragon's Den. I feel like, you're the father of dragons in here.
Sure, I could be that. I've
Yeah.
never seen Game of Thrones. Can you believe that?
Is that true?
That's true.
Do you brag about it?
I kinda. I'm one of those douchebags. I am the book is better for the people who've read the book.
Thank you for having me. Buy my CD.
So here's the thing. So my girlfriend.
I've never had birthday cake.
But here's the thing. It's not like I don't want to watch it. It's just I'm so deep that I'm afraid that if I start, I'm just gonna disappear into a hole for a month,
like we all did.
Yeah, and my girlfriend watches it, and the new season just started, as everybody in the world knows. And she's like, I'm gonna watch it, and I was like, well, and she just watched it, so I guess I'm just watching it starting on season whatever, and I'm sure people right now are screaming at their earphones.
No.
All right, I'm gonna do it. I promise.
Start at 1.
I know it's a lot.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
I'm jealous of you
that I get to read.
that you get to experience it for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of people that have never seen The Wire.
I've never seen The Wire.
God, why are we talking?
We should just be watching TV.
We're surrounded by DVDs of stuff that we both like.
Yeah.
We like this. I wouldn't send you in the wrong direction,
No,
man.
I appreciate your opinion greatly. And here's the thing again.
Are you a contrarian, though? Are you like, everybody likes it? So?
No, I'm the opposite. I'm usually the guy that
so
loves
I watch Marco Polo on Netflix.
Wait, I'm pretty sure. Is that really a Marco Polo?
Oh, come on.
That's what that's called?
Why?
I was thinking of Narcos. I was thinking of Narcos. Never mind. I thought you were
thought
doing
I
a bit.
confused.
I thought you were doing a bit.
Oh, you thought I wanted to call Narcos. Just for the listeners.
Yeah.
There was a show called Marco Polo. I wasn't trying to Weird Al the show Narcos.
You are the king of Netflix parody shows.
Hey, you can play the accordion, right? Here's my where I called Narcos Marco Polo. That did exist. That did exist.
Oh, you got a killer tweet ahead of you. So I haven't seen you probably since we shot. You are a character in my movie Pinch.
Did I make it?
Yeah, you're in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I work in insurance.
Yeah, there you go. That's your line.
Spoiler: my character works in insurance.
I love that you remember that line. It's a good bit.
I drove actually from an audition in Burbank to meet you on a random street corner in a cul-de-sac
to sign a piece of paper. And record that idea.
And scream, I work in insurance. More times than I would like. I said it over and over again.
In residential neighborhood.
And finally you go, that's good, man. I was willing to keep doing it.
Yeah, you were like, do you need more versions of it? I was like, no, we got it.
Pause this podcast, go out in your street and just start yelling, I work in insurance 20 to 25 times in a row. You're going to feel better.
Yeah, no, you were very liberated afterwards. I could see the relief in your eyes.
I felt good.
Nah, as anybody would.
Some people do drugs. I yell, I work in insurance.
Some people were like peeking out of their blinds in their homes.
Honey, I think that man is having a mental issue.
And why is that man recording him with a microphone?
He's not helping. He's enabling him.
Yes. In any case, yeah. So it's been about that long, however long that was.
That was a while.
And so
2015?
We started shooting in 2014.
Holy cow.
And that was the baseball stuff, which is all the stuff that you were on. So,
yes.
Yeah, it's been a minute. And so you remember Tony, my co-star, Tony
Yes.
Wayne.
Yeah,
Tony's he's freaking one of the greatest human beings on the planet. For whatever reason, and I don't know why, but it must have been like in an email chain or one of the early production things where he must have seen your name, Bridenstine.
Oh, yeah.
And for some reason, in his brain,
Yeah.
your name became Bird Dog.
Okay.
And-
Bride looks like bird.
Sure.
Den, dog.
Sure. Boom.
Stein.
That's
He's like, I'm not even hearing it.
that's more that's more reasoning than Tony ever needs.
You would hate what he calls narcos.
It's probably true. But my favorite part about it is that you, to an entire group of people that you don't know, your name is Bird Dog.
That's fine with me. I
Everybody
like it.
calls you Bird
I'm
Dog.
learning. Good.
It's kind of great, actually. And whenever he goes like, oh, what about Bird Dog? Is Bird Dog going to be there?
Bridenstine's hard to say. Most of my friends call me Brido
Yeah, I always know you as Brido.
because it's just hard to say.
Right? Well, I don't know. It's not hard
People
to say.
inevitably say like, "Oh, like Bride of Frankenstein," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's a great way to remember how to say it."
Bridenstine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, it's not like Jewish. It's not
it's
E-I.
German. It's
German, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I-N-E.
It was ST whatever it was, but like, yeah.
Oh, the generations probably changed it throughout the years.
Yes, I have gone on Ancestry and looked like surprisingly far back.
Right.
So it was German.
Sure.
They came to Pennsylvania in the 1700s.
Oh, really? That's where the family landed?
Yeah, and not not very Jewish.
Not very Jewish.
Although, like,
no.
when someone's name was like Solomon Bridenstine,
Right.
that doesn't sound too waspy
No.
to me.
No,
Maybe
not at
they
all.
were. I
Maybe.
don't know.
Maybe there was a shift at one point.
Yeah, they're like. It turns out people don't like us as much as the Christians.
So your family is from Pennsylvania, but you're not. You're from Chicago, right?
I grew up in Iowa and then moved to Chicago to do stand-up after college.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
thought that you were a Chicago person.
It was easier to explain to people.
Right.
So,
Especially
yeah.
in the stand-up community.
Right, because I didn't even start in Chicago. I started in Iowa City,
Okay.
but to be in that group of guys that moved out all at the same time kind of thing, it was
Right.
easier to just tell people that I
Right.
was
Yeah.
from
Chicago.
Chicago.
And also, like,
and it was technically true. I'd moved from Chicago.
yeah. And a Chicago comic is sort of like that's like you're the Chicago comic. Like,
I went to Harvard.
you're
I mean-
known for like the city where
I'm
you
a
kind
Yale man.
of thanks. Yeah. Cornell.
Oh no, you went to DeVry.
You're not wrong. Phoenix.
Well,
Phoenix.
Bert
Phoenix.
Kreischer went to DeVry then.
Yeah. Truth.
And he's very funny.
Right. Yeah. Of course, I kind of came up through
Oh, and Patrick.
Tampa. Of course, Patrick Melton.
Yeah.
Who is the reason that we know each other? I think that's how we were circling each other in the stand-up community, but I think it was Patrick and NLO.
We probably, there's a decent chance that
We crossed
through
paths before
stand up or sports entertainment
right.
that we
True.
would have.
Although not really, because
I've met most of the people.
most of the people in the world, all of
the
them.
big wrestling fans, like,
Well, but here's the thing
we,
is that-
we find each other.
But it wasn't until I actually vividly remember this because you were so excited after we had initially met to learn that I was a wrestling fan because you had just gotten back into it.
yes,
And you were like, you were so excited that there was a I might have been one of the first like
person I could actually talk
yeah,
to.
yeah, because I remember you being like, oh, could we have to talk about everything that's happened in the past 10 years?
I wanted to have a WrestleMania party in 2011, and I hadn't watched since the 90s.
Sure.
And so I turned it on. Del Rio had just won the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
I'm kind of like, okay,
The
who are
largest
these
Royal Rumble in
guys?
history.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, who are these guys? What's going on? And then like CM Punk happened,
Right.
and I was like, why?
captivated.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
And then Daniel Bryan later on, and then now both those guys are gone. So I got to be honest, like my interest is not what
It's
it
kind of feigned a little
was.
bit.
Yeah,
Waned. That's what I was looking
Waned.
for. It's waned a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm very good at the English language.
Sounded right to me.
Listeners of the show. Yeah, as long as you say it with confidence,
yeah.
people assume that that's what you meant.
The best man at my wedding, Mike Burns, who you mentioned earlier, likes to make up words a lot.
Okay.
And you know what he means in context. He'll be like, I left of my own recognizance.
That's
and it's like, that means one thing only. That means you paid your own bail. You left of your own volition.
yeah, I do that all the time. Or I'll stick to a word that I think that I know what it means.
Uh-huh.
And people will correct me.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I'm still going to use that word improperly because I'm stubborn and my brain moves
Well,
fast.
he will always be like, you know what I meant. Who cares? I'm like, words matter.
That's true.
That's all we have.
That's the argument for like people that use text talk. Like listen, I know I wrote you and R, but you know what I meant.
Like, it drives me insane if I see a photo on Facebook that is like, this is my mom and I. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because they think they are following a rule.
Right.
Subject pronouns are not hard.
Okay.
Who is this a picture of besides your mom? It's a picture of me.
Yes.
So who is the picture of?
It's my mom and me. You simply remove.
You remove
Yes.
the subject.
Exactly.
It's so easy. I hate it. And then those same people are like solving Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton on Facebook. And it's like, can we first get a very simple thing?
Let's grasp the language.
Let's do this first. Then you solve all the problems.
Right. Yeah.
My friend Ian, who's a brilliant person, is like, this is a picture of my dad and I being my dad and I.
Oh, twice in one sentence.
It's like you with fingernails on a
Chalkboard. Just So my adorable girlfriend, who I love to death, a little Southern. And earlier I caught her using the word all when unnecessary. This is the thing that drives me crazy.
Okay.
When they say, for example, you all or who all is going to be there, what all are we doing?
I do that.
Oh my God. See, so you have no right.
No, I don't. I like Jacob Sirov, who's a funny comic, hates when people say, which begs the question.
Okay.
Because that means something like entirely specific.
Sure.
That doesn't mean it raises the question.
Right, exactly.
So, and he was like shouting about it. Like he got, not shouting, he was amped up about it, just like I probably sounded to the listeners.
Yeah.
Like, I write that, you fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, of course.
Who all out there does it?
Exactly. It drives me crazy. Especially because it's literally the exact same sentence without the all.
Correct.
And that's what drives me crazy.
My dad's like, ending this is the worst podcast ever for me with me doing this. If you end a sentence in a preposition, like, where are you at? My dad will go fucking bananas.
Really?
Where are you? You don't need at.
No, exactly. You know what?
But I think that I should know all this stuff. At the same time, sometimes I'm like, text speak is okay. If you're driving,
if it's sure.
That's how that started.
If it's like no, that's not how it started at all. It started with T9. People were like, it's really hard to write long words.
Yeah, I hate texting.
You're an anti-texter?
If it shows up on my computer, I'm
Right.
like a paragraph back to you.
Sure.
But
I am a long-winded texter. I still text in full sentences, and it does drive people crazy.
Yeah.
But another thing that drives me crazy, going back to wrestling, because I hear it all the time, is commentators on wrestling. There's two things drive me crazy. One, and this is another Southern thing. For some reason, people think that height does not end with a hard T.
oh, height.
Height.
Okay.
And that drives me crazy constantly.
My friend Brady says height, and he is very self-conscious about it. He can't stop saying it. I can't stop saying across the street.
That's another thing too.
I can't stop
Admittedly,
saying
I'm
it.
an axer. I will ax anybody
Really?
questions. I've never broken
What is that, New York?
I had this conversation earlier today. I think that it's just me being a dumb fuck, but it could be New York, and there's some crossover there. I have to really try hard to not to ax. The other thing,
amazing.
The other thing that I hear in commentary and wrestling all the time is in his own right. When they'll say something like, "Oh, here's blah blah blah," he's a champion in his own right. I'm like, no, he is a champion. They use that in his own right is to say that they're not actually this thing, but in their own right, they could be this thing, and they'll use it to describe something that's actually literal.
I remember in college somebody described something as arguably one of the best.
Okay,
arguably meaning not.
No, yeah.
One of meaning definitely not. And we're like, you got to stop saying it's arguably one of the best. I used to go insane about literally.
I think I might say that. Arguably one of the best. It's arguably one of the best things out there.
I hate it when people say literally. I'm a literal snob.
Do you know earlier when we made a joke about you being Weird Al Yankovic? He has this song.
Yes,
we're literally doing his song.
Words.
Yeah, something like that.
The Robin Thicke song.
Yes. Blurred something.
You know what I did after I heard that?
What'd you do?
I go, thank you.
Yes, precisely. Because finally, you know what? Somebody had the gall to stick up to these idiots.
Words matter to Weird Al.
Words matter. That's the lesson of the entire show here. Wow. Where are we? So I want to ask you.
We made it this far.
I
think the rest is going to be okay.
Fantastic. I want to talk about you, sir. You said you grew up in Ohio?
No, Iowa.
I'm sorry, Iowa? They're the same thing to
the
me.
Potatoes, right? Iowa, which is in the Midwest on the Mississippi River in a town called Muscatine, Iowa.
That's where you grew up?
20,000 people.
Really? It's one of those little small town living?
Yeah.
So were you like a country boy? Because I imagine everything in the Midwest is
No,
country.
it was on the Mississippi, so it was a lot of industry. Like there's 5 Fortune 500 companies based
shit,
there.
really?
Like right by the Heinz ketchup factory, and like Monsanto has a base there.
Oh, wow.
Because it's industry.
Right.
I knew very few kids that lived on farms, to be honest with you. But and then my parents are from Iowa City, which is all like kids whose parents worked at the University of Iowa.
Oh, right on.
And that sort of thing. So although it is, I'm surrounded by cornfields.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, it's America. That's,
yeah, flat and cornfields, but I didn't know any farm stuff.
No, you were in a farm boy.
No
what
farm
were
stuff.
your parents? Were they? So you said were they
teachers?
Oh, so they were both educators.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that? Oh, you had 2 teachers, both of them.
Yeah, my mom taught kids who couldn't read remedial reading,
Oh,
and my dad taught history, and then he taught keyboarding, like he taught
typing.
He taught QWERTY.
QWERTY. LOL JKJ. I had those classes.
Yes, yeah. And then he became a principal, and then a superintendent.
Wow. So you didn't go to that school district, did you?
No, but
because that would have been fun.
He was the principal of another elementary school, and when they knew that, it was used against me. What would your father say?
Oh, like the teachers in
and
your
if I
school?
got in trouble, they're like, "I'll call your dad," type of thing. Well, it's a small town anyway. You know, there's like maybe like 12 elementary schools.
Right.
So they knew my mom was a teacher.
Right.
They knew my dad was a teacher. Everybody kind of knew
Sure.
in the teaching community.
So the other teachers held you at a higher standard.
But I was like naughty.
Well, were you a bad kid?
I was a bad kid.
Were you a class clown?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the moment in kindergarten. This kid Nick, he fell off like a toy on purpose, and everybody laughed.
He's like as a shtick, he did a pratfall.
And I remember trying to be funny throughout kindergarten. There's a videotape of me, like my dad got like a camcorder and he was taping us, and I was trying to be funny.
Oh.
Like I remember
desperate.
that.
Yeah, that
You don't know what it is. I mean, if you see a little kid try to be funny,
right.
like they don't really know.
That's literally my entire childhood as well. And it's a thing. For me though, it was more I felt like about attention. Like I was just
That's what it was. I mean,
desperate.
the kid, he was given like positive.
right. And I was like, oh, I need that now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I do.
Everyone likes him because he's
Right.
funny.
Right. And also obviously, like, did you fall into the trope of like, oh, I wasn't, I was a funny kid because I was getting bullied, or were you the funny bully? Because that also exists.
I was more the funny bully,
Really?
or I could get other kids to do things.
Right.
But I mean, I also got bullied. Like I'm not
like
gonna.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's crossover there because I feel like a lot of comics and people that are in entertainment, they're like, oh, I needed to develop a sense of humor because it was the only way people would like me and it would avoid me getting picked on. But inversely, I know tons of comics who, as adults, are bullied because they're hilarious.
Sure. Yeah. The thing is, I've learned that when the funniest people are making fun of you, and you're like, "Fuck, that was a good joke."
Right.
Those people like you.
Yeah.
Are they not wasting time on you with a cutting personal joke
To an
that has
extent.
history to it?
Like really layered and psychological damage. And yeah.
Pete Holmes told a joke about me on a roast that was like, we talked about how we did Montreal the same year, and he
Okay.
goes, "What'd you get out of it? A stamp on your passport?" And that was like, "Fuck, that is a good joke."
It's really
he
good.
cares about
It
me.
also shows a bit of insight, which is nice.
It's a history. It's a history of knowing someone.
right.
With there's so much that's packed into that.
Yeah, that's a lot of layer in a tiny little
yes,
one line.
Yes, Pete, you're doing well.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that.
Thanks, crashing on Sarah Silverman's couch.
Yeah. That show's actually pretty good. I like it. I enjoy it.
I like it and I watch it.
Hard for me to watch sometimes, a little bit too real at times.
Yeah, I knew him when he was from Chicago too.
Yeah, he's
as
in
an
that
open
group.
micer. He was never terrible at comedy.
No,
No.
so that's not true to him at all whatsoever.
Maybe he felt that way. I'm like, he
Right.
must
Well,
have
I think,
felt
I
that
think
way.
a lot of us do or did.
Like in 2004 at the open mics,
Right.
everyone knew that he was
he was
good.
going to be the one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like TJ Miller was there, Kumail
Right.
Nanjiani was there.
Yeah, you come. Well, actually, we'll get there. But
Yeah,
first, did you go right into comedy out of high school?
No. See, my situation, like you were talking about the bully and the class clown
Yeah.
and stuff. There is a small town, so I think my situation might have been different. Like I was popular in high school,
Right.
But my friends were all the kids who were like the homecoming king and the kids who like the best at every sport.
Right.
I was friends with them, but not because I was good at those things, because we were all friends since 5th grade.
Right. Because it's such a small town that you just grew up with people you grew up with.
Right. So my graduating class, we had one high school, so I graduated with like 500 kids.
Wow.
And like I never felt like I fit in, but I never felt like I thought that everybody felt that way.
Man, all right, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
These are 22 episodes of the show so far. I think this is episode 22. I want to say that 10 of those 22 have all said that exact same thing. All like entertainers, all in the entertainment industry, whether actors, comics. That is such a recurring theme.
That they didn't fit in?
Of that, like you have a group of friends, but you still feel like an outsider in that group of friends.
I didn't feel like all through college or anything until I went to Chicago and started doing open mics with those kids.
Right.
That's the first time I ever felt like, oh, these people are like
They're
me.
like me, yeah.
Because I watched stand-up like a maniac in elementary school. I couldn't get enough of it. And the things that I liked, like we talked about Weird Al. I fucking loved Weird Al. I loved Mad Magazine. I loved Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Like the thing with those stuff, I like Bart Simpson. I don't know if I ever...
He was a hero of yours as a kid.
But the thing is, I don't know if I thought Weird Al was funny. I didn't get the jokes. I didn't know Lola was Yoda.
Right.
Most of those songs that he was doing, I was hearing for the first time.
Yeah, I've done that before where like you hear a song and you're like, oh, that's the song that Weird Al covered.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think that I just thought that they were cool.
Right.
Because they were like sticking it to the adults.
Yeah, because it's zany and it's not like it's also the attraction to the alternative. Like if you're that kind of kid who likes,
they were being subversive to like an irreverent to adults,
right?
Like a parody of a movie, calling it like Indiana Black or something.
Right.
Appealed to me because it's like a middle finger to adults, and that's all you have as a kid.
Right. True.
So I didn't think it was fun. The first time I ever laughed at stand-up, also stand-up for me was a window into what adults talked like when I wasn't there.
What kind of TV did you watch when you were a kid?
You know how like I'm 37, so like there was 3 channels for the longest time,
especially in the Midwest.
Yeah,
right.
So we watched all of the sitcoms.
Gotcha.
And like I rented. I mean, it's every time my parents went to the video rental store, I would rent WWF.
Sure, of course.
And so, like, for the longest time, people were like, "You never saw Top Gun?" I was like, "I was watching 4 hours of Mania 4."
Right. I was rewatching the same thing over and over again as well.
Yeah.
The only reason I asked was because you said about how people talked, and I feel like, so when I was really young, I was big on shows that kids generally wouldn't like. I owe I think a lot of who I am to the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That was shit, and also that was sort of what made me interested in
was
comedy.
It on Nick at Night?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was because
I watched
it was
a lot
on
of
stuff,
Nick at Night.
Yeah. So you watch like stuff like Green Acres and
Donna Reed.
Yeah, all of those shows that were well before our time.
Yeah,
but for whatever reason, those were the shows that I was watching.
Yeah.
So then when I discovered stuff like Dennis Leary. And
No Cure for Cancer.
Yeah, No Cure for Cancer was like my mind. And then also Adam Sandler, like those albums. Those
They're all
like
gonna laugh at you.
They're all gonna laugh at you. The
hardest I ever laughed in my life was the first time I heard The Longest Pee.
Oh my God. It's
like
so stupid. Oh man, it's still going.
But it's fucking funny.
I actually, one of my favorites is Fatty McGee on the Stairs.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's the best.
So stupid.
It's the fucking best.
But so for me,
I don't know why more people don't put out albums like that.
I think the last one that I heard that was like that was who's the guy that he's doing freaking like self-help now?
Oh, Kyle Cease.
His albums
did he do one of those?
It had stand-up, but then it also had bits. It had those sort of like pre-recorded like
Johnny LaQuasto's album.
Oh, his new album like that?
He has a bunch of stuff. His first thing is like an intro sketch, then he does a rap song.
Okay.
And some screw up happened, so he got listed under hip hop. And he debuted on iTunes in the top 40 on the hip hop charts.
That's incredible! Shout out to John LaQuasto.
And he was like,
number
he
one
was
hip-hop.
fucking mad. And I was just like, I'm friends with a top 40 recording hip hop artist.
That's amazing.
Right.
That's
like,
fantastic.
It goes like Tupac. Johnny LaQuasto presents Johnny LaQuasto.
Then Kanye right below.
Right.
That's incredible. So like that sort of comedy when you were a kid, like figuring out how adults talk and that sort of shit.
Oh, here's a fun story.
It piqued your interest enough.
In 5th grade, I watched every single thing that was on. Like if you name a show, it would be hard for me to have said, no, I never watched that.
Right.
So all of a sudden, this guy comes on and he does and he starts performing, and I laughed so hard. I was in 5th grade. I fell off the couch, and I wrote his name down, and it was Dana Gould.
Right. Yeah.
So I cut to a few years ago. I'm doing Josh and Josh show at Bar Lubitsch, and he's on the show, and I was like, he kind of knew that I was on the show, and he kind of said hello to me, and he and I were the only people in the bar, and I told him that.
Wow.
I go in 5th grade. He goes, "Do you remember the bit?" And I was like, "Yeah, you had your head it was a ponytail on your head, and you're like, go to bed, old man." And he goes, "Oh, you saw the A-list from 1990."
Yeah.
He goes, "Do you want me to do the bit?" And
Oh my
I go,
God.
"Holy shit, tonight that'd be amazing." He goes, "No, right now." I go, "Shut the fuck up." He stood there for me and did that bit.
Incredible.
And the whole time, I wasn't listening.
No, who cares?
I was having this fucking weird, isn't
You were
life
5 years old and
5th
TV,
grade, 5th grade.
I'm sorry.
5th grade.
I'm sorry. 5th grade and TV is now reality.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's like meeting He-Man.
I want to talk how you ended up in Chicago. Is kind of what I want to get at.
So I had been doing stand-up for a year in Iowa City, and it was kind of like a strange. I was obsessed with stand-up, and more and more people were like, "You should try it."
Right.
There was one show in college that it was on a Wednesday, every Wednesday.
Right.
It was a Ken Muller run that these a feature and headliner would come through, and the host was a college kid. And the girl I was dating at the time bartended at that show on that night.
Right.
And so I would go there kind of we're getting free drinks.
Right,
You're
right.
broke as fucking college.
Right.
And then I kind of liked going to see the stand-ups.
Right.
And I said, "When does he graduate?" Because I knew he and she was like, "I don't know." And I was always kind of thought I should try to do that.
Right.
Because, you have that. Everybody who watches stand-up either thinks that seems horrifying. I could never do that.
Right.
Because everybody pictures himself. I've been Jimmy Page or Slash how many times, but never done it.
Right. Yeah.
In my head,
Yeah. Of course.
So I met Mike Holmes in college. He's like, I'll do stand-up too. So we kind of started hanging out. I auditioned to host. I got it. And then more people kind of started saying that they stand-up, and
Right.
we would go drive to other towns, open mics.
Sure. Yeah. You do those one night with a car full of comics.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I graduated, and some of the comics kind of guided me. They're like, "You need to move to a city.
Right. Yeah.
You need to go do that." And so I was like, Minneapolis or Chicago? I grew up being a Cubs fan. 60% of the University of Iowa's kids from Chicago suburbs. It just seemed like a natural fit.
Sure.
Went to Chicago, and it took me months before I had the guts to
Actually go on stage.
Yeah, and then 1 year for Christmas, my sister gave me a book called How to Do It Standing Up by the Friars Club.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think I have a copy of that book.
Yeah, there's a chicken on the cover,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Sorry if this is offensive to you as a
Right.
as a comic."
Yeah. They do that a lot.
Because
Like,
I did an hour my last show, and I thought that I was gangbusters. I thought
Right.
that I was gonna go to Chicago and fucking my career was gonna be I had no idea about anything. You watch Seinfeld. Where is he performing?
Right.
Where is he?
Right.
Where is that?
Where is that red curtain?
And he has a nice apartment in Manhattan. So I was like, I'll get a day job. It doesn't even matter what I do. I got paid $50 a night and free bar tab in Iowa City. Go to Chicago.
Right.
You do every single night and
Yeah.
make probably $200.
Yeah.
If I headline, probably $1,000 a night. I had
Right,
Chicago's
right.
this impossibly big city to me.
Right.
As I had no idea.
You're literally an author of this fantasy of how it works in
Yeah,
your own brain.
Right, because when you start doing anything, when I moved to LA, I had no fucking idea how
Right.
it worked. When I moved to Chicago, I definitely had no idea. I was arguably one of the best comedians, which means definitely not.
You just did it.
Too
That
many
was
callbacks.
so organic. So organic.
Too many callbacks. But so I went there and kind of I went to a show to watch,
Right.
and alt, and I'd never seen that before.
Right.
So that was bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to another show because I saw a flyer, and it was like Edge Comedy, a show that kicks you in the face in a funny way.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is going to be more like Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn. This
Right.
is
It's
going to be
more
like
the edgy, the blue comedy, as they call
That's what
it.
I thought I was like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You put yourself in that category?
Yeah. It's 1 year in.
Yeah.
You're really defensive on stage.
Oh yeah, everybody, and you've just discovered Doug Stanhope, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the next edgy comic.
I emailed Doug Stanhope my first year, and I was like,
Are you
I have an
serious?
hour. What do I do? And he's like, go be funny.
Right.
He's like, if you're funny, then things just happen.
That's well said, Doug Stanhope.
I met him too.
Did you tell him that you emailed
I
him?
did, and he goes, did I tell you to go be funny? And I said,
That must be his go-to.
Must be his go-to.
Right.
Yeah, but so I went to the other one, and it was the same fucking people.
Oh, the alt night was the same as the
Yeah.
punch you in the face comedy.
There was like 20 regulars in the Chicago North
Right.
Side comedy scene.
So that
it's
was
a
it.
very segregated city. Like I went down to the South Side, and that was like I don't want to say. I mean, it was like there are black crowds down there, but the white people are different.
Oh, interesting.
It's like real Irish, Polish, working class,
Gotcha.
kind of like.
So it's more Midwest in that area, probably.
Yeah, and then the North Side is more the younger kids,
more
go
progressive.
young people go to the shows and stuff like
Right.
that. But like the South Side is like Bernie Mac, Lil Rel, like all these like fucking amazing
Right.
comedians have come out of there. But it didn't feel right
Right.
for me.
And there is a disconnect too between even those names. Like it's more about like the big presentation.
Yeah.
It's less like you wouldn't cut it as like a kid
like
with
I
jeans
did,
and a t-shirt.
I did riddles and it was fine, but it's like 44. Like I felt too young to be on stage
Right,
there.
right.
Like I'm talking about stuff, and they're like, "What?"
Right.
Like I had to joke about like my two dads, and and it's like some 45-year-old guy with his wife are looking at me like,
what
"The
the
fuck
fuck is
is this
he
guy talking about?"
Right. Yeah.
And so on the North Side, it was like young people.
Sure.
So and plus I lived on the North Side, so it was just easier.
That's the real answer.
But I'd go to my job and tell people I did stand up, and improv is king
right.
in Chicago. So people are like, "Oh, like Second City."
Second City, yeah.
And I would have to say like, "No, like Jerry Seinfeld holding. I
stand-up,
hold
yeah.
with like a brick wall. Like, can you picture it?
Right.
Type of thing." It was so uncool and so stupid. And why
Right.
would you do that? Like when like I liked stand up. I always liked stand up. But it didn't become cool. I mean, I guess like the 90s, it was for
Right.
white comics was so fucking lame.
Yeah, it died a horrible death.
I mean, there was like
in
a
the late
renaissance in the black rooms, like with
Right.
Def Comedy Jam and like
Yeah.
Original Kings of Comedy and stuff like that. But like not until MySpace did comedy kind of.
80s. Which it's interesting you bring that up because did you know that if you Google Mike Bridenstine, the top hit is MySpace? Are you aware of that?
No, it's exciting.
Yeah. If
It's
you
exactly what I want.
if you Google Mike Bridenstine, people are gonna be like, "Oh, this guy hasn't worked in years."
MySpace is number one.
MySpace is the top hit.
Can I
for your
tell you
name.
something?
Go ahead.
I had a lot of subscribers to my blog.
Oh,
I really liked MySpace.
really?
Yeah,
That was your
when,
jam.
when everybody moved to Facebook, I was so fucking like upset.
I was late. I didn't move to MySpace. I mean, I didn't move from MySpace until like 2011.
really reluctant.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't want another thing. I spent so much time.
I spent a lot of time.
You know-
I learned how to write code to put it
in stupid gifs and dumb shit in your
Yes,
profile.
that was important to me.
So-
That's like when I was I did this thing called Blurds that Jordan Vogt Roberts, who just did Kong, was the director when
Oh,
he was
wow.
like 22.
Blurds.
Yeah,
Black nerds?
blog nerds.
Oh, blog nerds.
Yeah.
Because isn't that the
It is
a
black
colloquial
nerds
term
now.
for-
Yeah, that was before that was a thing. So yeah, I went to Chicago and I was there for 4 years. I always said I'm gonna treat this like high school and move
Right.
to New York City, and then I moved to LA because shit changes.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you come to LA, are the people that are in your community there, like Kumail and those people, are they already out here
Kumail
working?
stayed in Chicago and then went to New York.
Gotcha.
What? So, kind of like the guide for all of us was Kyle Kinane and Matt Bronger
Right.
had already moved. They had been here for like 5 years, And then TJ Miller moved. He got the pilot for Carpoolers, which
No idea.
it was on ABC, I think, and it was like a Bruce McCullough thing. It was
Okay.
funny. And, so he moved out here. What happened was the guy who I think I considered to be the best comic, and I think a lot of people considered he was kind of like, the homecoming king of the scene.
Sure.
It passed away in 2007.
Oh shit.
Did 10 years the anniversary just
Wow,
came
yeah.
away. And I think a lot of people that fucked a lot of people up because he had so much potential.
Right.
And I think he never went.
Right.
He never
right,
went
yeah.
to New York or LA.
It's incredible how many people I think we all know like that. Like there are people who are like, if you just, it seems like the funniest person in every group never succeeds. Is kind of how I feel. Or the most,
because they always like one of the people got like mental problems and moved away.
That's usually what it is. It's usually the fact that the people who are the most fucking brilliant are the most troubled, and therefore their ability to succeed is tough.
CNN's like History of Comedy was talking about Jonathan Winters, and I read that book, The Comedians, which is amazing.
I haven't read it.
I highly recommend that to anybody. It's a very fast read. It keeps moving from. It's like the most interesting story about each person.
Gotcha.
Jonathan Winters, you know him, right?
Yeah.
Had a mental breakdown and had to stop doing like stand-up because but he was if anybody was comparable to Robin Williams, it was him.
Right.
And though, look what happened to Robin Williams.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah.
Again, you have to be a little bit troubled to be as good as some of those people are.
I think so. We need attention.
Definitely.
It's always gigantic ego, horrible self-esteem, and that doesn't compute with a lot of people.
No, not at all.
Because it's please look at me, but it's also I deserve to be looked at.
Right.
No one has. It's weird to be like, look at us like right now we have microphones in front of our faces talking about our lives.
Right. Yeah.
To who knows.
Exactly. And I've struggled with that for my entire
We have the
professional
second
life.
most, as comics, the second most pretentious job in the world.
Absolutely.
Number one is I'm trying to be a model.
Yeah.
There's an aspect of my personality that's so good.
So when I first met you, you were sort of a commercial booking machine. At least I'm sure you're like, fuck, I never book anything. I'm sure it's always funny to hear somebody else say that.
It's funny to think that that's the perception. I like that that's the perception, I guess.
Well, I feel like I saw you in so much shit.
I've done.
I still see you pop up every now and then.
Somewhere around 30.
Right. That's insane. That's a lot. That's a shit ton.
That's a lot. But a lot of them are the same director.
Right.
Like you and I will probably work together in the future.
Of course.
But it's more. Yeah. I'm not Joan Collins on set.
But what I'm getting
Crawford, I meant Joan Collins.
Joan Collins.
She was in Dynasty. Right?
I don't even
she
know.
And Linda Evans.
I don't know. I know the name. I can't even place the face of it.
You don't know the third biggest primetime soap opera of the 80s?
Apparently not. Again, I guess you were watching a lot more television, like you said. If it was on TV, you watched it.
You didn't watch Dallas or Knots Landing? Just my mother?
Yeah. That's the thing, too, is a lot of it comes from what our parents watched.
Yeah.
Were your parents funny people? Like, were they fans of comedy?
My dad is the type of guy who wouldn't want you to know that the farting bean scene in Blazing Saddles
is his favorite
thing in the world.
Right. The very first depiction of farting in cinema.
Is that true?
When it aired on television, it still wasn't on TV yet. They couldn't do it. So they literally, when we saw that as kids on TV, it wasn't farting. There was just silence. So they were just leaning over and there was no fart sounds happening.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous. But in any case, so your dad wasn't.
Yeah, my mom is very dry, and I had an aunt that like and my mom has this ability. Like they called my like great aunt the Velvet Hammer.
That sounds like a wrestling gimmick.
I know.
The Velvet Hammer?
Yeah, and she could make fun of you to your face and have everyone in the room know but you.
Right.
And my
That's
mom
beautiful.
is kind of dry that way, and kind of. My mom did it to like comics who would come visit. Like if someone tries to like fuck with my mom, she'll be like, she's the quickest person back.
Right.
But being funny isn't important to either one of them.
Right. It's just it's a character trait.
I think that my mom is kind of like, it's very easy for her to be like a sly like asshole. But she's a
lovable,
lovely person. But if she wanted to be, she could. And I think that my dad is really likable and goofy, and I think that I have tried to inherit both of those.
Right?
things.
Yeah.
And
So you're sort of
my sister is smarter and funnier than me, and she didn't do anything. She works for the government.
You only have one sibling,
Yeah, my older sister.
and she went into government.
Yeah,
That's great.
I look at whenever I see Jackie Cation like doing stand up, I'm like, she is my sister.
Oh, really? That's kind of that.
Yeah.
She's the archetype.
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
like D&D and stuff like that.
No, just the
Oh.
the way that she kind of like,
Her presents herself.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And her like delivery and stuff.
yeah, she's more into like.
I love Jackie Cation.
Yeah, she's the
She's
best.
freaking the best. She's like the nicest human being you've ever met in your goddamn life.
Yeah, yeah.
So you inherited a little bit of that from mom and dad, probably.
I mean,
'Cause
yeah.
that is a gift, and I feel like some members of my family have that too, where they could be like side eye rude and
Yeah.
but my family also has that ability to make fun of you and have you love it and make you love them.
Sure, yeah.
Like to insult somebody to their face and then get a hug from them.
yeah.
You know, like that's a gift.
Yeah. So I mean, like, where's your family like creative? types?
Yeah, they're all creative, but none of them are in creative fields.
Oh.
Like even my mother's a talented artist. You and I both have this in common too. Remember that day we sat down together and we were like, hey, I wish we had more things in common, because we realized that like everything was exactly the same thing. Because you're
Yeah.
also like a fine artist, a hand artist, a comic book artist.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So yeah, I think I get that from my mom. Like they're all really funny.
It was the
creative
thing I
people.
was best at that I always got like credit for. Like I won and I never cared.
Yeah.
It was like this thing, and I stopped doing it because I put too much pressure on myself when I did it, because I was never as good at it as like I thought.
And were you? So here's
'cause
what
people talked it out too much.
Here's what I suffered from when it came to like fine art and being a comic book artist and just drawing and painting, was like you were the best kid in the school and everybody was like you were great, but you knew that you still weren't that good. There was just nobody better.
That is 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I was the best one out of a bunch of mediocre kids.
But I'm talking like I was the best in town starting about like 8th grade.
I was the same way.
But of small town.
Yeah, exactly. I have awards from when I was a little kid. When I was like grade school, I was
yeah.
like, oh, I won this thing.
Yeah.
I got to do the art project for the town.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, oh, Jake, you're this great artist. Meanwhile, like you go one town over and you're like, oh, there's a kid there who's an
Yeah.
actual artist.
So I went to the University of Iowa to start taking art classes.
That's what you went to college for?
Yeah. Well,
Or
yeah. I mean,
Wow.
it was like, this is what I'm good at. I took life drawing classes, and
draw some nudes.
yeah, I do a lot of nudes, which is doing gesture drawing and that sort of thing is like
Right.
a fascinating thing to me, because it wasn't the way that I drew. I would sit down really close to the page and
Right.
try to make it look like it.
And you were very. So I'm very loose. My family was always like, oh, I can't believe
That
you
changed everything.
Once
Like
you,
gesture
like-
drawing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun too, because I like the aesthetic of like a Leonardo da Vinci notebook,
Right? Oh, I love that.
you know, or like a Michelangelo, notebook.
Right.
Even though he was a sculptor, it
Sure.
didn't
Yeah.
just happened. That story, by the way, the
No.
Sistine Chapel. He had rivals, like Raphael was like a rival,
Right. Yes.
And the Pope was like, "Who could do this?"
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
like, they fucking hated Michelangelo, so
Yeah.
they're like, Michelangelo would do it. Just be like, now he's gonna fuck this up,
Yeah.
and we're never gonna hear
Nope.
from him again.
He's gonna blow his entire reputation.
Yeah.
See the infighting, the community infighting.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
talking about.
What a good dig, Raphael. You really got him.
Oh, and all they got for their troubles, decades later, is Ninja Turtles named after them.
Yeah.
Like nobody even knows what those names are outside of.
First of all, Donatello can suck my dick. Donatello?
Wait, the
My favorite Ninja
the
Turtle
turtle or the
was
person?
bullshit as an artist. Compared to Leonardo
Admittedly-
da Vinci,
Admittedly, I don't even know of a single Donatello piece of art.
because he's shit. Raphael's bullshit too. He just copied fucking Da Vinci.
I love how hot you get on quality of.
Oh, you want to know about the Florentine High Renaissance? And I can correct your grammar because I'm a real douche.
Yeah, it turns out you're a real. So, I would have never pinned you as such an intellect, such an.
You want to talk
highly-
about all Japan work rate in the 90s? I'm the worst.
You are the worst.
You want to talk about sabermetrics in baseball?
Shit, I didn't even know. Yeah, you're a big baseball nerd too.
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever a part of you? So you said you were friends with all the jocks. Was there ever a part of you that was like,
I played. I just
Yeah.
wasn't good.
Can I tell you, you were absolutely fine when we were shooting the baseball movie.
Yeah.
It was hilarious to me. I'm not sure if you remember this, but so there's the two teams in the movie. There's like the one group who are like the young, athletic, like they're all these jock, pretty boys.
Yeah, they were.
And then there's
they were
like
handsome men.
Yeah, then there's like with muscles, and then there's like the average Joe's team, so to speak. And you're on that average Joe's team, and it was incredible to me that every one of the average Joes looked better on screen and was better than all of these jocks.
That's amazing.
Because I think baseball is like a finesse sport. And if you didn't play it when you were a kid, or if you didn't have like...
I could tell that the kid who you had as a pitcher, I was like, how is he going to work around this?
Right. It's tough. I mean, and
here's the thing. I'm sure he can act me out of fucking any scene in the world. Like, you picked him to do that for a reason.
And he really... Like, he worked on that pitch for a long, long time.
I could tell that he had never thrown a baseball.
And it's like...
Because it's a either you did or you didn't type of thing.
And so it's hilarious to me that the team that was supposed to look like shit on screen swings better, throws better.
Well, it's like that story with Louis C.K. and he was talking with Jonah Hill about the Judd Apatow's Comedians movie. Funny People. And he saw him do stand-up. This Jonah Hill, who's a brilliant comedic actor, going up pretending to be a stand-up. And he's like, are you supposed to be like an open micer? And he's like, no, I'm supposed to be like an up-and-coming comic.
Yeah.
And Louis C.K. was like, no. Because you can't fake. You don't know what's green.
Right.
You don't know you don't know the notes that you're not playing.
True.
See, but then I could be wrong though, and like Louis could be wrong. But like I watched Michael Shea's special, and Michael Shea's fucking great. But he stands with his finger in the mic stand the whole time, and my wife's like, "You told me that was like a new comic move."
It is.
I go, "I thought it was."
Right.
Unless that's like his thing.
Well, hey, do you remember?
I want to know if he knows he's doing that.
Do you remember what we talked about earlier, where we were like, "Listen, at the end of the day, nobody can tell you off mic." We were saying nobody can tell you what the rule is. There is a don't listen to do list, but ultimately everybody's their own.
Listen,
shit.
Unless managers know the perfect solution and won't give it out, because then that renders their job useless.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know? I know that we're all over the place. Do you know comedian Jasper Red?
Yeah, I know. Just San Francisco.
Yeah. Jasper, he gets up on stage literally with a backpack on, and he has one hand on his backpack, and he does his entire set like he's leaving right then and there for the bus. Like he's like his stage presence. He never takes the mic out of stand. He stands there.
Never addressed the backpack.
No, never. And he just holds on to it. And his body's sort of turned, so his shoulder is to the audience. Like literally, it's as if he's leaving at any moment.
Like
and
before I go,
or
the Columbo. One more thing.
And it's so good, and it works so well for him. And if anybody else tried to do it,
open micers who would do that, like Mike Burns used to do that, and I'd be like, "What was that about?"
Maybe he saw Jasper and was like,
and he goes, "I didn't. I had a bag,
right,
and I didn't want to leave it there. I don't know who the fuck
you don't want someone to
you
steal
guys
your shit.
are."
Yeah,
he's like, "Now I can be like, you guys watch my bag."
Oh shit!
So maybe it's not, certain things. I don't want to say this is his story, but I would guess that it could have started that way, and now then it becomes like a safety blanket.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, I had a ton of safety blankets. I couldn't get up on stage without a drink. That's something that I could like mix and sip in between. Like I had to. If I didn't have a drink on stage, I felt like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had so many safety blankets.
I'm just now performing sober.
Oh, really?
15 years in.
Wow. I wasn't talking about like an alcoholic beverage and being drunk. I meant I needed the physical item of having a beverage on stage. But let's talk about
it. Also does. It does help though, because if you take the drink, you can look down at the set list.
That was my trick. I'd walk over to where the drink was. Also,
which bothers the fuck out of me. Like there's comics who are like, don't bring your fucking set list up on stage at my show. This is supposed to be a professional. So I would tape it to a speaker,
right,
where he couldn't see.
Sure.
I can't remember a fucking set list.
No.
I've never been able to. There's jokes
and it doesn't prevent me from being funny.
There's jokes I've done on TV and festivals that I read from a piece of paper because I can't remember it.
Well, everybody's different.
Janine
Garofalo had a notebook
the whole fucking time.
She's just
that's her thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. It is what it is. But you just said that you just started doing sober for the first time. You started performing sober for the first time.
Yeah.
Has that been like a crutch for you for age? Have you not been able to perform sober?
I just never did.
And when you say without a drink, like when you say sober, we're not talking like obliterated drunk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you always a drinker? Were you a drinker?
I thought I was. You know what? I probably lied to myself and said I was funnier. My voice on stage is me mimicking what I sound like 5 beers in.
That's fascinating. When did that start? When did you start drinking? Like in that way? Well,
The first time I did stand-up, I was fucking drunk.
Really? Because you needed that social lubricant to do it?
It was courage.
Yeah.
I was nervous, and this, like, I've had sets where I was like, I'm physically nervous. I need just like a drink to calm down.
Yeah.
And now, like, or I thought I was funnier. I mean, because you kind of like for me, everybody drinks differently, but
Sure.
like for me, I let go of a lot of inhibitions. I thought I was quicker. I thought a lot of things. Hey, it's not true.
No. That's probably not true
It's
at all.
not true at all.
I would argue that you probably have gotten exponentially better since you stopped.
And also, nervous can work.
Right.
If you go up and your whole thing is that you're like a tough guy and you're nervous, that's gonna suck.
Right.
But if you're yourself and you're kind of like nervous,
Yeah.
and you address it to the people, like, I feel fucking nervous.
Yeah,
like, it's weird.
My whole shtick was sort of that this is going terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the audience would enjoy that if you played the card right.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But why did you stop? Why did you just all of a sudden stop drinking when you're doing shows?
I had a conversation with somebody who was like, everybody thinks that they're funny or drunk, but you're not.
Right.
Trust me, you're not. And I think I've seen clips of myself that are even on the internet where I'm like, ugh, I seem like a
little sloppy.
A little sloppy. I thought I was fucking murdering. I see the tape and it's just like, you're murdering with yourself.
Right. You think you're hilarious.
Oh my God. Yeah. Laughing harder than the audience.
I love that.
I just never end up liking what it looked like.
Right.
The end product. Like, I've been drunk on podcasts and heard it and I'm like, ugh.
Right.
I hate myself.
Well, that's also, it takes a lot of fucking balls to stop that. Even because I'm sure there's a fear behind your head of like, oh shit, like what if I stop and then I'm even worse?
Even worse. That's my favorite Weird Al tape.
Wait, what?
It's a playoff of Bad.
Oh, gotcha. That took me a minute. That was kind of a reach, but all right, I'll give it to you.
It's real. It really happened.
Deep cup.
It really was there. Yeah. So I feel more in control.
Nice.
It's just. I've seen comics on stage drunk, and I'm kind of like, that looks bad.
Yeah.
That looks bad.
Admittedly, like there are some people who I feel like, oh no, you should have one or two. Like you need to have, but then you get people who are just like straight up obliterated, and I'm like, this is abysmal. Same thing with hard drugs. I mean, I've seen people.
Oh yeah, I've never tried to go up on anything.
Right. I mean, I've seen people that have just. I'll never.
That's not a car I've driven. Like
I ditto. I'll never forget. Fucking Pablo Francisco. Oh my God,
he was notorious. So.
I saw Pablo Francisco get up, do 15 minutes, and then repeat that exact 15 minutes.
Oh no!
And then get off stage at 30 minutes when he was supposed to be a 45 to an hour headliner.
Yeah, he was a bit of. They had me. Someone asked me to write for him.
Really?
I went to the Melrose Improv to watch his set, and they're like, "So, what do you think? You could write for him?"
Right.
I fucked it up. I go, what do you want me to write?
Right.
Like new noises? Like, I wasn't trying to be a dick.
No, that's really funny.
Absolutely demolished.
Yeah.
Right. And he, like, I don't know how to explain it, but he said, "Are you in good hands?" Exactly like Dennis Haysbert for most of the set. He kept saying it. And it kept getting funnier
and funnier.
It's one of those things that I can't, like, the famous one is Todd Glass's set where he just says bingy bongy the whole time.
Right.
And people like lose it.
Yeah.
Or Tig Notaro making the horn noise to the crowd the whole time.
I don't know that one.
She does like the clown horn, like,
oh yeah,
and everybody there just like loses their goddamn mind every time she does it.
Right.
And it's kind of like people are up for it,
Right.
I saw Dom Herrera go, "Where my ink pen?" for like way too long. It's like I heard a kid say that, and then he just moved on, and he would just every now and then go, "Where my ink pen?"
Right. Just throw it in there.
Yeah.
And then and it just gets funnier and funnier as it goes along because
There's like,
but again, you have to be in control of the room to get away with that kind of shit.
People have theories on that. Like, if you can get 3 laughs, then you can get 7 laughs.
I hate that.
And if you can get 7,
I hate stand-up science. Oh God, it drives me crazy. Stand-up science is.
Do you believe in rule of 3?
Yeah, sure, but that's also just writing. That's not like that's just like learning how to be a good writer. But anyways, this is fucking everywhere. I wanted to learn about you. We didn't talk at all about your newly married.
Oh yeah,
I'm excited.
Almost 2 years.
Wait, shit! It's been 2 years.
It's been
God damn you. God damn it.
I was talking.
This
I
is
was at
not
a
Comedy
par-
Bang Bang.
I
We
was
can't
at
do
a
that.
party last night where it's impossible for me to hear that without hearing
It's
that.
banned. God damn it.
Yeah, coming up on 2 years.
I feel like you got married 2 weeks ago.
That's
I feel
good.
like
That's good. So you're enjoying my
Wow.
relationship.
it's been that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking hate your Instagram. I just hate it.
Why?
You guys just look like happy, and I just
We're
it's-
normal. I mean,
know. I'm hoping that I can get there now with my new girl. I'm hoping that we could be that annoying couple that's like,
we're
"Oh, they
annoying. This is
you look so happy. Nobody likes to see
Oh.
their friends happy. That's terrible.
Well, wasn't it
You have an
that
awesome little
commented?
dog?
Oh yeah, I have a puppy named
You have a
Taker.
puppy named Taker, named after the Undertaker.
But my wife named.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Did you get her into wrestling, or was she?
I did. Yeah, she used to watch as a kid. She went to WrestleMania 30 and 31 with me. She
Yeah.
would go to Lucha Vavoom and then PWG.
Nice.
And then I asked her if she wanted to go back to Lucha Vavoom, and she's like, "Why I go to PWG? Why would I go to that shit?"
Right.
'Cause
Nice.
PWG is like
She started to actually form opinions, which is fun.
yeah. She became a mark. I explained work rate.
Nice.
If I like something, and I remember Vince Averill was he's married now, but there was like a girl that he used to go to wrestling with, and I was kind of like, I wonder if I could ever in my life get a woman to go to professional
Right.
wrestling with. There's some guys who are like, why would
Right.
you do that? Like
No.
that's a guy's night out.
No, it's not. I wanted to share that.
Right, I wanted to share it. I also took her to Dodger Stadium, and she was like, baseball's boring. And I go, no. So I started explaining every little thing that was happening.
Right.
So she was like, oh, there's
And-
stuff that I don't know.
Yes, and to me, that's what it is too. Whenever I talk about wrestling to my girlfriend, I feel like she feeds on my like passion for the details.
Yeah, but do you like to teach, not mansplain, but teach things?
No, I mansplain the shit out of it.
I
No,
mansplain
yeah.
too,
No,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, like if I'm teaching something that I know that somebody else knows, and I'm a man, like where's the line between mansplaining and just sharing information?
I like to teach people things.
Me too.
Like it's like
Especially women, especially about women's problems.
If someone, let me tell you what, you need to smile more. No, I've had different friends, women who are like, I don't understand football. I was like, give me a napkin and a pen,
Right.
and 5 minutes.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah, because it makes it one.
the dumbest people in the world can like football, but you can't.
Literally the worst fans in all of humanity
Yeah, you go
for
there.
a sport that's killing people on a
Yes.
daily basis.
You're here. You're trying to go there.
Anyways, what I'm getting at is there's so much we didn't speak about. Will you come back and sit down with me again?
Yeah.
Because this like went by in a blink, and I
Yeah.
feel like we didn't even touch on.
We've been recording?
this whole time. We've been recording. Believe
Oh,
it or
I thought
not.
we were just kind of warming
We were
up.
just warming up. I want to talk before we get out of here about your stand-up album.
Yeah.
It's your first official album.
It's my first, yeah.
The Hungry Wolf Hunts Best.
Correct, yeah.
What? Is it a reference to a bit?
It's a
Okay, good.
It's a bit about how if I had a son, I wouldn't let him play football.
Yeah, like you shouldn't, because it's as I just mentioned,
lot
it's
of,
killing
a
everybody.
lot of things. But he told us not to eat before games because the hungry wolf hunts best.
Wow,
And I was like, is it cool if the hungry wolf had tater tots at noon today?
that's good.
And the same guy had to ride a bicycle everywhere because he had 3 DUIs.
Fantastic.
Because the thirsty wolf gets pulled over.
Well done. So that's the name of it. And
I just thought it was a cool name for
it's
an
great.
album. To
It
be
really
honest with
is.
you.
And the cover art is fantastic.
That's
It's
Robin Von Swank. She's
horrifying.
amazing.
It's scary. I hate that I see it on my Facebook page every day.
Does it horrify you?
Kind of. I'm not a
You've
big
also
fan.
never seen Game of Thrones, so it is a reference
Bring it
to
back.
something.
Bring it back.
I was thinking like The Revenant, and then like the scene where a character from Game of Thrones, the blonde princess with the dragons,
Right.
She eats a heart.
Daenerys goes.
Daenerys-
See, listen, you can't exist in society and not at least absorb some of it.
I like that you're tried there.
Listen, I'm trying.
How did you pronounce it?
Was that not wrong?
I just wanted to fuck with you.
Daenerys? Am I
I got
right?
it 100% right.
Oh, okay. You dick. So this is your first official album, and a Special Thing is putting it out.
Yeah.
Which is great. They're such a great group.
That's what I wanted. I wanted that, it's an indie label
Yeah.
that I really like. They just won a Grammy for
Awesome.
Patton Oswalt. And
Good company.
I did it in Iowa City where I started.
And you did it in your hometown.
When I was a kid, my grandfather played mandolin and he sang in a bluegrass band. Like he did Johnny Cash covers.
Shit,
And my
wow.
uncle played stand-up bass, and like my aunt would like sing songs, and like they played at the Mill, the venue where I recorded it. And I went to one show when I was in elementary school, and there was a tape of it that someone taped off the soundboard that I had growing up. And when I was a little kid, I would listen to it. And then when I was in high school, he passed away, and I wore that tape out, listening to it and putting myself like back there in that venue. And I always had in the back of my mind, like as I started doing stand-up, that I wanted to do my first album there on that same stage.
That is incredible. Do you share that with the people in that on the special?
No. I should have.
You should have. Yeah, you should go back and redo it.
You guys, I'll get back together. New ending.
That's really gorgeous. Actually, I want to talk about that next time too. I want to talk about that. I mean, that's like the fact that you had a family band in your history. Like that's
and
that's incredible.
Like I did it in front of kids I went to high school with. My parents and my cousins and aunts and uncles were there. There was like 300 people there, but like I wanted one take. I wanted it to feel real. All of my favorite stand-up stuff isn't polished. It isn't.
It's not over the course of 3 nights. And
it
it's
isn't
not. Yeah.
Highly edited feeling.
Right.
Richard Pryor live in concert starts with him walking out at a Patti LaBelle intermission.
Right.
And yells at people to sit down.
Right.
I mean, I like Mitch Hedberg. I like kind of the feel of a small room.
Yeah, when you can hear the glasses clinking and you can tell that the exit.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, when you can tell the exit is literally 5 feet behind you just listening to it. I love that.
You can kind of hear someone talking.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
I like that feel because that's what stand-up is.
Right. And it's not Madison Square Garden Arena live at wherever.
100% it is not.
Right. Yeah.
Like I like this. I don't care if you cut to the auditorium laughing. I don't give a fuck if they think it's funny. I can't. It's a dark. I mean, ideally it would have been a smoky room. Like I just like drop ceiling kind of a vibe.
If it's not brick, it doesn't count. If there's not a big ass dent in the Shure SM57 microphone, then it doesn't count.
I want like duct tape on the floor,
right?
Holding the carpet,
holding the wood to the carpet where it meets the stage.
Like that's what I want you to feel like you're there holding a glass of something and watching. I don't want it to feel like you're in an auditorium when I don't give a fuck. Like I can't physically tell you to shut the fuck up or something.
Right. Well, I hope that you succeed in that. I have not listened to it yet. I cannot wait to listen to it.
Comes out Friday, August 11th.
Tell the people how to Friday, August 11th. Let's see. Hang on a second.
Which is my birthday.
Let me look at it. Oh shit, for real? Is that on purpose?
Yes.
You released it on your birthday so that you can give yourself a birthday present.
Yeah.
So you said it comes out Friday, August 11th.
Yes.
I'm being a great host. It's already out by the time this airs.
You can pre-order, yeah.
No, it's already out by the time this airs. It came out this past Friday.
So if you have iTunes, it's on iTunes. If you if you have Google Play or Amazon, it's on there. Or if you want a physical CD, it is a cool CD box.
The packaging is cool.
The packaging is pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said,
you
the
can
art's
go
fantastic.
to a special thing and order that.
And it's ASTrecords.com or something like that?
Yeah. So that stands for a special thing.
Yep.
And you can get it there.
How do people find you on the internet?
Facebook, Mike Bridenstine, / and then Instagram at Mike Bridenstine. Twitter at Brido. I wanted at Brido for everything.
Right now.
BridoComedy.com. The website is pretty cool. This like guy designed it who you might know.
Oh shit, did I do that?
Yeah. I was waiting for you to save me.
You're still using that site. We gotta update that. It's been a hot minute.
Well, that's the only reason I came here.
Great, awesome.
I brought my laptop.
Great. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up so I can fix his update his website.
You have a lot of work to do.
Fantastic.
By the way, when you said, what do you want for the background? And I made a joke and I go, a rich mahogany. And then you came back and did it. I'll never forget that.
You weren't being serious?
No.
I thought you meant it.
No, you're the best. Jake Lloyd is the fucking best.
I was like, okay.
A rich mahogany.
He wants a rich mahogany.
And you did it.
Oh my God.
I thought he was going to be like, fuck you.
I'm crying. That's so goddamn funny to me.
Call this episode A Rich Mahogany.
Oh my God, I cannot believe that.
You're the fucking best.
That's hilarious.
Rich mahogany.
I'm not going to be able to wrap this up because that's so funny to me that you were just fucking with me and I did it. As always, find me on Twitter at LiquidJake. Talk about wanting a different handle. Find our show on all social media at Elaborate Pod. And as always, please follow It's Dragon Wagon on all social media to keep up on everything Dragon Wagon Radio. We've got a lot of great podcasts happening every week. Please rate us on iTunes. If you're checking out us on iTunes, throw us 5 stars, throw us a review. Those are really helpful in people finding the show organically. If you've enjoyed this episode or you enjoy any other episodes, please share it with your friends and loved ones. And man, my dog just ripped one so good that I need to wrap this up and escape this couch. Thanks so much for coming. Love you, bird dog.
Love you too.
Hey, everybody. I'm sitting down real quick with my good friend Zen Zenith. Hey, Zen.
Where am I?
Where are you? You are on an episode of Elaborate in a fantastic little segment we call a commercial.
Oh, this is really nice. I like what you've done with the place.
Appreciate it. You know, I try.
So I think I'm here to talk about my podcast.
You're here to talk about a fantastic show called The House Show Show.
Right. Yeah. So the House Show is the podcast I host. It's a live concert and event series. So the whole thing is recorded live. We have a little audience there. And what happens is I have guest singer-songwriters join me, and they play some songs in sort of an intimate setting. And I sit down and talk to them, and then we do a Q&A with the audience, and it's a lot of fun.
So it's like storytellers meets Unplugged meets a fantastic live podcast.
Right. It's like the Moth Story Hour meets Late Night with Seth, whatever his last name is.
Sure,
meets The Nerdist.
I love it.
Your favorite hang in your favorite living room.
And I am a massive music nerd. This totally speaks to me. There's nothing I love more than live music, and there's nothing I love more than live music in a really intimate setting. It really is a fantastic show, I must
Then
say.
you are going to love this. You can check it out online at thehouseshowshow.com, or we're also available on iTunes and Stitcher.
Fantastic, bud. I hope everybody checks it out.
Me too. That would be rad.
It's Dragon Wagon.